Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Citizen Dane, a web show and podcast with myself, comedian, writer, occasional actor, and now podcaster, and your online parasocial friend. Talk to you about the things that are happening in the world right now and the things that concern me as a global and national citizen. Joining me, as usual, is my partner in love and my Cody in living. H is here.
Hello.
In order to at least try and slow down when I start exhibiting signs of verbal diarrhea, which is a very valuable service. That being said, I want to begin the podcast with a little bit of housekeeping, which is just a check-in, make sure everybody's okay, and thank you for continuing to support the podcast. You can find the podcast on YouTube and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get a good podcast from. And we welcome your feedback. Let us know what we can do to improve the show, and also message me with any of your concerns or anything you think that I should be talking about happening in the world right now, irrespective of where you're from. Cool. So, let me, I want to begin on a rather solemn note. In the last week, I lost a very good friend, a friend of mine, Darrell McDonald, who also went by DJ Optic, as he was a very good DJ, passed away due to, after a long battle with sarcoma. He leaves behind his wonderful family, and I don't want to go into it too much because obviously as a family member I'm not really sure on the protocol of how people talk about it, but Darrell was a very active and very passionate campaigner for cancer and sarcoma awareness. Despite him being in recovery from receiving treatment, Darrell was always somebody in my life who was massively supportive, and he has always taken the time to support me throughout my career. He came to all of my big shows. I even saw him just last year or so ago. He came to support me at another show, and now on reflection, I have known Darrell for 20 years, man, and it's flown by. I met Darrell at the same time as a young man when I met Charlene White, when we were all very young and had very early aspirations in our eyes about being graduates, and also aspirations of being in the creative space. And if you do not know yet, Charlene has gone very clear as a news anchor on ITV News. Would you say anchor here? Yeah. Newsreader, as well as a very successful journalist, author, and also appeared on I'm a Celebrity. So yeah, I met Charlene and Darrell around the same time. They've been great friends. They have also been, in their own respective ways, amazing mentors. And losing Darrell is, it is a massive hit to a massive group of inspirational people that I had the pleasure and privilege to meet very early in my life, and have always been supportive, irrespective of some of the mistakes I make. I remember once, just to add as well, before I was a comedian, I had another life. I used to work in media sales, and I hated my job with an absolute passion. I cannot stress how much I hated working in sales and just doing the 9 to 5. And if you do 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 5:30, or you work from home and that's why you're viewing this, I respect the thing in it, but it was not for me. Anyway, I am sure over time I could tell you many stories, but I think we can all relate to the dredging, bleak commute to work, which I always did from when I was still living with my parents, and seeing people I grew up with age before my very eyes was always very disheartening. Anyway, I tell you all this because one of the things that used to make that slightly more bearable is occasionally I would be with Darrell and his wife, Amy, on the train, and would be laughing the whole way to work, and it just made the whole thing slightly more bearable. And for someone who's no longer here, I just like to reflect on that because he made it more bearable. I also, H, you might want to do, what do you call it? Earmuffs for this one. Mm-hmm. But essentially, I remember being approached by an older woman who was 8 years my senior. And I'll be honest, I was an idiot and a young boy who didn't know much. And I guess I had very stupid preconceived notions about a woman's femininity, sexuality, and the like at a certain age. And I'm older than the age the woman was, by the way. just to show you how stupid I am. But I remember going to Darrell for advice about it because I wasn't sure if I was out of my depth. And again, he was very empathetic, very comedically, was able to basically reassure me through my stupid misgivings, which were so dumb. I was like, am I not sure whether she needed any kind of medication for arousal or I don't like.
It's men that need that. What's wrong with you?
Oh my god. So dumb. So dumb. And so very nervous. But anyway, Darrell basically cancelled me through that slight, very, very trivial and stupid dilemma on reflection. And it was absolutely fine. And I'm just an idiot. And I respect and revere women irrespective of age. And there is no negative correlation between a woman's attractiveness and her age. That is because, you know, beauty is subjective. So sorry, ladies, I was just dumb, and I feel like the first part of it is admitting how dumb I was.
Yeah,
because I was so dumb. But I was just a child, man, on reflection. But yes, Darrell gave me some advice, which was sound advice, and this is from somebody who has always been exemplary in his treatment of women, because Darrell is to this day the only person I know, other than myself, might do theoretically, who had a woman as his best man, which was Charlene White. And I always found that to be equally inspirational and progressive, and it's just a very small part of making this amazing person who they were. And I'm not going to act as if I had a closer relationship with Darrell than some of his friends and some of our mutual friends, including like a shout out to friend Leon, shout out to my friend Colin, Conrad as well, because you were there if you remember. Ashley was there too. If these people ever listen to this, you'll know who you are. But yeah, he was the best, always a positive person. And I'm saying this because, not just because I'm trying to tug at heartstrings, nor do I feel I have any prescience over his closer friends to eulogize this man, but I think that it's important to give people flowers, and unfortunately he's no longer here to enjoy those. But again, my sincere condolences to Darrell's family. But I just want to say, like, obviously it's a cliche, but yeah, he was a good man, very good. So I am actually fucking devastated. So rest in peace to Darrell. Moving on before we get too emotional. So this week, I probably, which I don't think actually made it more difficult because you were massively supportive at the time, but this is the first week, one of the first weeks that I have had alone without my family. And I will tell you guys, it was a interesting, emotional and physical roller coaster. Not really physical, just I slept a lot and slept late and stayed up late because I had that freedom. H and my beautiful child went to see family out of town, and I was left to my own devices. And at first, I imagined the idea was that I was going to have the scene with Tom Cruise's like Risky Business when he slides in his socks and shirt into the hallway. And if you do not get that reference, maybe this podcast is too old for you, bro. And that's okay. And if not, blood is the digital era, man. Just type it in now and you'll know, and the scene will come up straight away if you're watching this on YouTube. Or just ask your respective AI to inform you about the film Risky Business with Tom Cruise. Anyway, I digress. After a while, it seemed very fun, but really there was work to be done because having the absence of a young child means one of the first things you can do is catch up on all the stuff that you struggle to do with a child being present, like cleaning your house and hoovering and doing loads of washing and drying and putting those clothes away. But essentially, I think the best way to describe the time when you guys weren't here and being away from the missus and the bubba was like the song Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, origin by Prince. Because at first it's like, I could eat my dinner in a fancy restaurant. But then I come home and I'm alone in my house with
your silent house.
My silent house with a very rudimentary knowledge of working the thermostat and maintaining the required homeostasis for a comfortable time here. And yeah, you know, the space was good to get on with some work, and I've been working on some ideas and some content, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy that in the very near future as an audience or as comedy fans. Also been gigging a little bit this week as well. If you are familiar with me, you will know that I've not been gigging as much in the last year. But very slowly I'm beginning to gig around various circuits in various different leagues. Take that how you will. Obviously, I think one thing about comedy is that I think anyone who is aware of my situation of being cancelled will think, you know what? Yeah, well, that's what you get. You have to humble yourself, baby. Well, I don't feel like humility is something I struggle with. So I just want to tell you a story that basically I remember doing live at the Apollo back in like 2015. I think in the autumn of 2015, I had the opportunity to do live at the Apollo for the first time, which was an amazing experience and was definitely a massive milestone in my comedy career, like it is for most British comedians to perform at the Hammersmith, at the time Hammersmith, now Eventim Apollo. Yeah, I remember that being an amazing experience. So I think I was performing to over 4,000 people on TV, which was definitely the largest crowd I recall performing to at the time. And yeah, it was an amazing experience to have a car to drive you to and from your home to perform on television and have a runner working the first time to ask you what you want to eat, which I've never really had. Well, no, that's not true, because the black circuit you will actually sometimes get occasionally amazing catering. But yeah, to have someone try and take an order, I chose to have ramen from Waggers because I didn't want to eat something that was too heavy or have too many carbs and be a fatty bum bum on stage because the camera adds pounds. And also I didn't want to be sluggish for being on live at the Apollo because I was bitterly afraid that I would bomb in front of the audience as well as on television, and my career would suffer significantly. Anyway, it went well. Had a wonderful time. And the next day, I performed at the Backyard Comedy Club in Bethnal Green, and there were 14 people in the audience. So if you think that I'm not used to being humbled and humbling myself as far as comedy is concerned, people, do not worry, because everyone in comedy knows there's highs and there's lows, and mainly driving, enough driving. And there's been times where, for example, I would perform at Lancashire University and nobody turned up because I didn't advertise the gig, and it was a 7-hour round trip. Now, I don't mind because I got paid anyway, but it wasn't like it was my own personal show. However, Lancashire University, what a wild place. They had a play on there about Stephen Lawrence's murder, which is in no way funny, but what might be slightly funny, based on that description, is that this is a university with no black people. So who the fuck is playing?
Oh my God.
Well, either Stephen, God rest his soul, or Dwayne Brooks, or maybe even Stephen, Doreen Lawrence, or Neville Lawrence. Who is playing these people? Lancashire University, I want answers. Anyway, that kind of rambling was massively indulged while my family were away. And I had to learn to reclimb, I had to get my social skills back. But anyway, the point is, it was good to catch up on some adult stuff and get some admin done. But yeah, having that time away from my family, I think was very healthy in allowing for the absence for the heart to grow fonder. So we are now all reunited. So that was great. So far as housekeeping, what else has been going on? Been playing football. It's important to stay in shape if you are a man of my age. So that was fun.
You finished watching The Traitors?
I finished watching The Traitors. First of all, I don't want to jump around. The puzzle has been on pause for a little while.
Yeah, it has been on pause.
Because we do puzzles now, apparently. So that's the thing. As a way of being able to have my mind focus on something away from social media and begin the process of breaking away from having it control me. In a nutshell, I'm still trying to wean myself, as I wean my child onto solid foods, I'm trying to wean myself off of any excessive or surplus time spent on social media, because social media in a nutshell was largely responsible, or my connection to social media, or social media addiction, whatever you want to call it, was largely responsible for my cancellation, I believe. And so if I've learned anything, it is to exercise discipline when it comes to social media, which is probably a lesson that I could have learned a long time ago. But you live and learn, and I've only, I guess, come to grips with this, my status as somebody of profile in the old world of YouTube. I don't know about here, you get me? We'll see how that goes. Keep on liking, sharing, and subscribing. Now, yes, we finished The Traitors. I have to say, I'm converted. I personally didn't historically care for reality shows, especially ones that base their entertainment on emphasizing and celebrating the worst aspects of human behavior. But that's not what The Traitors is. The Traitors is a game that has been like Murder in the Dark, if you will, or a whodunit that has been very slickly stylized as a game show for people to play. And yeah, we discussed this in the last episode. If you're not familiar with it, I would just encourage you to watch The Traitors. So we completed that. Claudia Wonderman doing an exemplary job as usual. If you've not seen it yet, well, I don't know when you're watching this, but check it out. It's fun to watch and also hate watch. There's a good element of that, and I feel like I like that about The Traitors. It is emotionally evocative, but you can't take it too seriously. And I think this is why it works. Is where its brilliance comes from. Is that if you become too emotionally tied to characters, or you become too emotionally attached to your opinions or theories. I mean, the theories is wrong because you kind of have an idea what's going on. But if you get too attached to the drama that takes place in the castle, then you would then have to, I believe, have the self-awareness to admit that your own emotion can cloud your judgment and cause you to act rashly. So I say that to say this. Everybody on The Traitors, I hope you had fun. Congratulations to everybody that participated. And it's all love. However, I will say, justice for Mina, justice for Cass.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be said.
Yeah, it has to be
Oh,
said.
but that's not a spoiler. You've probably seen it by now, but just want to say, justice for Mina.
Do you want to talk about the opening of... Because we started watching the US Traitors, the first episode, didn't we?
So, in typical fashion, when my partner is able to gently coax me into watching something I wouldn't normally watch, like, for example, the actually very good remake of Interview with the Vampire, replete with all its very in-depth erotic scenes with
Riley Ritchie?
Well, I guess lots of scenes of same-sex...
His name's actually Jacob Anderson, is it?
Who?
Riley Ritchie.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is that, yeah, I will no longer entertain any assertions, inferences, or accusations of homophobia because if you watch these things, yeah. That being said, you know, there are no stylized sex scenes in TV shows that are going to be arousing in any way, to be fair. And if you've ever had to do a love scene or a scene where you're simulating sexual contact,
Or
like I have done,
or watch any of 50 Cent's...
like I have, you'll know that there's nothing sexy to performing it, and anybody who tries to derive pleasure or try to exert any kind of sexual dominance over somebody within a open set, like, just do porn, innit? Which is fine if you do porn, but that's probably when you should be doing that. And even then, there's going to be elements of consent that are required as well, and even then it's still stylized, but I digress. You were saying? Sorry, yeah. Or if you want to act in one of 50 Cent's shows.
Any of the Power Universe.
Or within the Power Universe, or just in general. Is BMF in the Power Universe?
I'm not sure.
But
anything 50 Cent puts his hands on.
If you want to work on a show that has 50 Cent as an exec producer, you better be prepared to get naked and get to sexing, because he won't have it any other way. I would say, however, 50 Cent...
No character is spared, I swear to God.
No character is spared. If you work in a 50 Cent show and you are of legal age and you have genitals...
Best believe it's in your contract.
You fucking in that show. Best believe you're fucking in that show. You better go and identify your body double now, because if you are in a 50 Cent show, your dick's out. Or you better be comfortable with a prosthetic dick sticking out, because you're doing some fucking...
Your things will swing.
Your things are swinging. Your breastises are getting the bestises. Chicks are clapping. Maybe he's slapping. Hitting them from the back end is a song that he did not release, but should do. Moving on. What else I've been watching, because it now sounds like I just watch Pulp Fiction by 50 Cent and hot, steamy, ebony sex scenes. And I don't just do that. I do other things too. I have a child. But yeah, also, I have been catching up with a new anime show on Netflix called Sakamoto Days, which I find quite enjoyable. I don't know, basically, Netflix caught 1-2 whiff of what is happening across other platforms and other streaming services where, like, they may have co-pro deals with, like, Crunchyroll and other anime streaming platforms. and they have blacked out, and there is a bag of anime, if you don't, which you obviously know, on Netflix. Anyway, I like this one. There's enough on there that I don't follow, and I'm sure I will catch up with things like Boku no Hero Academia on Netflix now that the box set's there and the series is finished. But there's also Boku no Hero Vigilantes, Castlevania. Like, I don't know if I'll get around to this. Basically, I have to say at the moment my relationship with anime has become somewhat strained because of the frequent instances where there is racist backlash, racist rhetoric, and exhibitions of prejudice towards black anime fans within that space, which is a mad thing because when I was growing up, loads of black dudes were into anime and manga, which was called at the time, and manga video. The real ones will know the classics, whether it's Ninja Scroll or Guyver by a booster armor Guyver. I won't go into it. All right, Fist of the North Star. Like, you know, if you know, you know. If you don't know, then skip. So anyway, I say that because it's actually for me endearing as a much older man to see younger anime fans fully expressing themselves and immersing themselves in the culture, whether it's designing their own ideas or getting involved in what is now a very mainstream culture of cosplay. And yeah, finding your own interpretations, considering how often our culture is mimicked. If there is a culture that you have an affinity with or enjoy, fill your boots and don't listen to these pussy old white supremacists. On that point, if you are a young black anime fan, I would encourage you to follow Tony Weaver Jr., who is one of the leaders. This kid basically, he is basically, how can I put it? This kid is like the Martin Luther King of black nerds and black anime fans who actually lived in Japan and experienced some quite horrifying racism at the hands of the Japanese family that he was staying with during his exchange there. But yeah, check out Tony. He's a great guy. And if you are an anime fan, even if you're a black person with Pokemon Go, live your best life, man. Dane fully supports it. And I'll stop talking in the third person. So I feel like that is... what else I want to cover for housekeeping?
Have you listened to anything? Any good podcasts?
So, some of you might be wondering, what else I've been doing? What have I been listening to? What have I been taking in? Am I appreciating other art or creativity? The answer is yes, hopefully. Merkston released like a EP with, I think, Marcus Beats called 646. I think Merkston is a very underrated grime artist. But I definitely just check that out. I have also been, what's been doing? Oh man, I listened to a artist called Leon Thomas this week. Leon Thomas is kind of like an electro R&B artist. He's very talented, and I had the pleasure of being introduced to Leon by DJ Spoonie of Dream Team fame, who I visited at his home this week. He invited me over for lunch for some vibes and for some counsel from a big brother. And it was a wonderful experience. And I want to take the time to thank DJ Spoonie, who you all know, DJ Spoonie, who also know as Mr. Jonathan Joseph, but has also been a massive inspiration. And I think I bring this up because I think it's important sometimes that in this, I have to say, I feel like sometimes when it comes to creativity in this very, I suppose, democratic landscape that is the online space, I gotta say it, fellow creators and artists, it does feel like a rat race sometimes. And I think it's suggested to us that if we do not continue to run through a maze of as dictated by algorithms, then we are not able to compete. But I think that it definitely serves you to take the time to appreciate yourself just for the endeavor of taking your concepts and making them something tangible. And also the fellow creatives you meet along the way or people that have inspired your endeavors. I say that because I think sometimes even I do not take the time to humble myself and think about the fact that growing up again in my 20s and listening to Garage, the idea that I'd be sitting in the home of Spoonie from the Dream Team, as I talk to my friends like Mikey and Uni about like our love of the music, is a massively humbling achievement. It's first of all indescribably endearing that people will invite you into their home, and people that have achieved so much recognize your work and recognize you as a peer, an individual. It's always very humbling and flattering. And yeah, for people to welcome you, and also not just to maintain the professional relationship, but to accept you as a person is very cool. And it's not like you seek a validation necessarily, but when it does come along, especially from places you couldn't even fathom would happen, I think it's important to use that to fuel you and use that to be your indicator of success rather than just numbers and metrics. Because there's been times, as you can see, where you can do all the numbers, and as soon as you're no longer useful to people, then it doesn't matter. And respect is something that money still can't buy. It can buy likes, it can buy followers, it can buy subscribers, it can buy escorts, but it can't buy respect. And even if you have loads of it, and people are like, yeah, you're all right, you know you're still not respected. And it means you got to do wild shit for that respect. You know exactly who I mean. I'm talking to you. I'm not sure if you will see this, but I'm sure that your fans will not even understand what I'm saying. So whatever. But that was great things. Those things I've been listening to. In the meantime, I've been doing what I usually do, which is I have a very long playlist of random tunes that I like, that I just put on random, which is about 1,200 songs, and enjoy all of those. Although I very recently listened to a song with Uncle Luke of Two Live Crew fame, if you don't know, the godfather of Miami bass, I would say, alongside Trick Daddy with a tune called Scarred. Maybe if a song that today maybe be considered problematic for a number of reasons, but sonically, if you're a Miami bass fan, you need to hear this tune. And if you don't know what Miami bass is, then I guess I'm too old. This is too old for you, bro. But Miami bass is a subgenre of it's a regional sound, obviously named being from Miami, but basically is a music genre which is a very similar tempo to like jungle or like drum and bass, and kind of utilizes what's called the God break. But yeah, man, I'm making it so long. Basically, you all know the song "My Boo" by Ghost Town DJs. That's a Miami bass song. Or "Swing My Way" by KP and Envy is also examples of Miami bass songs. So
it's a bit lighter than jungle, isn't it? It's a bit like poppier than jungle almost.
As in sonically, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I think tempo wise it's quite similar.
Yeah, tempo wise. I'm just saying in terms of it's not as.
So yeah. Anyway, that is housekeeping of the things I've been doing. Just trying to live my life and every day being a better person. Trying to be a better person anyway. Which I think is very important because as I have been reminded again this week, life is not promised to any of us. So again, I just want to finish by saying rest in eternal peace to a great friend, a great person, a great man, father and husband, Darrell McDonald, DJ Optic. Rest in peace, bro. Ain't nothing going on earth anyway. Fuck this place. I'll see you on the other side. Okay. So, this week concerns. I just want to get straight into it because I have to discuss a deep concern. So, Yvette Cooper, who is the Secretary of State for the Home Office for the Labour government, and is also the spouse of Ed Balls of Strictly Come Dancing fame, and maybe he did some politics back in the day. So Yvette has been quoted in a article I read in the Huffington Post, where Yvette basically has said that herself and Keir Starmer will be going to Brussels in order to speak to the dignitaries of the European Union to discuss the possibility of a post-Brexit trade deal, because despite the silence and the furrowed brows, I think it is now a ubiquitous truth that Brexit has been an economic disaster for the United Kingdom, and a lot of its detractors are basically continuing to dig their heels in for the sake of being stubborn or for the sake of nothing else other than pride, or they are burying their heads in the sand, or acting like a Caribbean grandparent when you remind them about the physical discipline that they used to give you in respect to their adulation of their grandchildren. Because they never remember that stuff. that's another thing to unpack. But listen, Yvette Cooper has said to the British press that there is no intention to have any discussion with the European Union about working out a free movement deal for British young people. And I have to ask, what the fuck is going on? In fact, I don't want to ask. I just want to say, yeah, you see when it comes to this Labour government, I'm saying this, yeah? Vote of no confidence. General election now. Like, the saying is, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, or dogs don't talk, but quacks like a duck, and, basically tends to avoid very small pancakes with slices of cucumber and hoisin sauce, then probably a duck. And this new government is making my girlfriend's stomach turn. And this Labour government is not a Labour government in the sense that the Labour Party, ideologically, is not what this party is. This party that are war profiteers, that are utility profiteers, who have no intention of or make any effort to show signs of regulation to the rampant behaviour of corporations, multinationals and oligarchies in the UK. They have no intention of regulating that behaviour. They have no intention of reprimanding tax evaders. They have no intention of apologising for slavery and having a discussion about reparations, which I don't remember anybody fucking asking you, kid. No one expected shit from you, bro. Refusing to align themselves or to represent the interests of labour unions, even though their name is fucking Labour. That's their whole namesake. Anyway, so just to add to the very obvious shuffle towards the right of centre, despite the economic turmoil and deprivation of employment opportunities and deprivation of a more positive future for Britain's youth, Yvette Cooper has stated that it will not take any precedence to provide free movement within the European Union for British people. So,
I was reading the other day, isn't Reform top of the polls now?
According to poll exit data, Reform are at the top of the polls, which is interesting because a lot of the people who are members of the Reform Party do not even exist. So that's interesting. So essentially, what you have there, people that are watching this, is that this Labour Party is basically the lubricant as we make our way towards gaping our batty holes open to be fucked over by fascism, for lack of a better term.
I actually also saw a thing that was saying that it was something like 52 or 61, I can't remember the exact figure, % of young people think we should have a dictatorship in this country, where they just feel like...
I also saw that statistic.
The flim-flamming between governments is just...
Well, that's because due to the poor education system and the constant bombardment of propaganda
poor education system
from right-wing...
is it meant to be like that to make people...
Well, I mean, you say it's meant to be like that. I wouldn't say it's we live under a monarchy, so they already know they got to kick up to a king for no good reason. But I'm sure people have become more and more astutely aware of the fact that the scope for control of this country remains within the hands of less than 1% of the population, and has to be people from a particular socioeconomic group. But the point is this, that for all of the debates that surround the detrimental effects of Brexit, Labour are literally ignoring the whims of the future voting demographic and ignoring one of the biggest objections to the leaving of the EU as well. So not only are you fucking over people that voted to remain in the EU, which provide a number of benefits that benefit not just the Labour Party, but benefit the country in general, not only are you refusing to do that, but even people who were fucked over by Brexit because they basically had no opportunity to vote at the time are still going to have their futures compromised by Labour's movement towards the right of centre and for continued enablement of fascism for the sake of God knows what in this particular instance. But I guess that if people can, they will leave and they will have free movement in the EU to do so. and it's going to make it very easy for people to pursue economic opportunities elsewhere. But the reason why Labour are refusing to do this, actually, I say that is because they want to control net migration, and they feel like free movement for European citizens within the UK is going to be detrimental to their veneer of being anti-immigration, because your economy cannot grow without immigrants. Labour, you fucking idiots, you would know that because you've seen 14 years of the Tories messing up. So I gotta stop swearing in this because I'm not sure if we can even, yeah.
There's a thing that I watched this reel earlier on Instagram, and it was a guy talking about this article in the Financial Times, and it was talking about how Britain, if you take London out of it, the like average poorest.
Like, but you're in Hungary if we take London.
You're in Mississippi.
Right.
Like
If you want to know how bad that is, that means removing London as an economic centre and removing its gross domestic product from Britain's gross domestic product in general means that basically the United Kingdom would be the same as the state of Mississippi. And if you don't know of America's 50 states in terms of economic hardship, literacy, pregnancy rates, Mississippi is way up there. So, things are not looking great. I think we can all agree with that. So at this particular juncture, I guess here is wherever you claim to sit on the bipartisan political spectrum, you have to come together in order to hold your government to account. Whether you sit on the right, what you might want, think about what your children want. You don't want immigrants. Well, actually, I don't know why I'm speaking to you, because you will cut off your nose to spite your own face, and that's why if it's going to have any effect on immigration, then I can't really be speaking to you. But anybody who did vote for Labour, and anybody you may feel there is an issue with immigration, this is not just about immigrants moving to the UK, because trust me, that's not going to be happening as often as you think it is now. But it means even if British people want to travel abroad and explore their potential economic opportunities, with the advantage of being able to speak English like most people do in European Union-based nations, then they've been deprived of that opportunity. So basically, like I said, the Labour are the Tories now, Reform are the old Tories, who are basically fascists, and the Tories are just a feeder team for Reform. So yeah, and they're just there for posh people to just go, I'm not paying tax. So yeah, Yvette Cooper, I don't really have anything to say to you that which would stop this from being demonetized. So you're married to Ed Balls, so the idea that you could possibly be a serious politician is laughable. I will say, however, that those of you who are politicians who appear to have some element of dignity, and I'm talking about people like Dawn Butler or Zara Sultana or Christina Ribeiro, you lot might have to go, because this government does not care about large groups of people in British society. They don't care. And they have also appointed a health secretary who has connections to private healthcare. So I would definitely really start thinking about how we can hold this government to account, because already what we can see is, despite the horrific crimes and gaffes and faux pas and F-ups of the Conservative Party over the last 14 years, including austerity and navigating us Titanic style following one of the worst economic crashes in recorded memory, you lot have decided to take that baton and put up your own bumholes and light it like a firework as if you are some kind of crazy England fan, which I guess you guys are. Here to serve. So that's terrible. What else has been happening in the world?
The crash in Washington. Was it Washington?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, very tragic incident took place this week with a commercial airliner in the States colliding with a military helicopter, which has resulted in the tragic loss of over 67 lives. There were no survivors on the plane, and it is a horrific tragedy, which I know, to anyone listening to that, if I'm hearing about this for the first time, you're thinking, how is a military helicopter hitting a commercial airliner? Why are they even in the same airspace? Well, what has been revealed is that the new president, 47th president, Donald Trump, has basically overseen a series of layoffs and firings from people from the TSA and from the Aviation Authority of America, and and are trying to dismantle it. And according to a number of people, they allege this is due to the fact that the head of the aviation authority had fined the true president of America, Elon Musk, for the space pollution and for his misappropriation of resources for his SpaceX program, and Donald Trump, to pledge fealty to President Musk, has fired him, which has been followed by a serious understaffing and oversight that's led to the death of 67 people. This is not even one of the biggest parts of the tragedy. That would be the loss of human life, but it's the fact that Donald Trump has immediately tried to deflect blame onto diversity, equality, and inclusion incentives and initiatives that are within the federal government, and is now continuing his charge to sign a number of executive orders to remove these initiatives from the federal government, all under the pretext that people who are from African American or Hispanic communities, as well as members of the LGBT community and women, have received their employment on the basis of their identity as opposed to their merits, which is obviously bullshit, but is one of the narratives that underpins the new White House administration. Where, to put it simply, they've been like, yeah, these planes crashed, but I think it's because there were some black guys there, despite the fact that pilots of both aircraft were white. But America in 2025 has been able to successfully backslide consciously by about, I would say, a century, but not too far, boy. A century, because they don't believe in science. So, and some people are still wary of science now in America, and these people have been platformed and given voices, as America has now also pulled out of the World Health Organization. But yeah, this is where we are. If you are surprised, then fair enough. But Donald Trump's supporters are basically saying that we're no longer going to give black people jobs. However, what has transpired from these initiatives is that now the cry comes from America's population of white women and America's Asian diaspora, who in many cases have aligned with the MAGA ideology and have said that black people are unfairly given preferential places in Ivy League universities, for example, as well as in federal employment, when in fact it was because of the work done by black progressives that the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was signed in the first place. It might have even been 64. But the Civil Rights Act came into play, which allowed for people to seek legal, compensation for discriminatory practices of corporations. But Donald Trump, in his ongoing bid to make America great again, depending on how you view America, is eliminating these. Now, my view is this, because obviously everyone, and by everyone I mean a lot of white people and the Asian and ethnic people that serve them and beg it, have been jumping on this narrative and saying that the DEI needs to disappear. Right, so my immediate rebuttal to this is, well, if we're going to only celebrate and uplift people who receive their jobs on the basis of their merit, we can take all sports achievements from all professional sports prior to them being desegregated, and we can fucking get rid of those. If you are a white person and you did a sport in America up until the point that that sport was desegregated, let's be honest, you can't really say you're the best. Because you did not appear in these competitions and compete, I should say. You did not compete on the basis of merit alone. Your country had very, very strict, deep Jim Crow laws which prevented any participants of a different race from competing alongside you, which means it wasn't truly a meritocracy, it was an ethnocracy. So I say that. Now, you may argue, how do you know? Well, put it this way. Whenever we have seen the emergence of black people in historically white spaces, particularly in sports, they have been aware, whether or not you want to accept it, that because of the reluctance of most corporations and Western institutions to observe diversity, equality, and inclusion, you normally, on the basis of your merit, have to supersede your white counterparts by a factor of at least 3 to even be considered their equal. I would like to give the example of Joe Louis, the bronze bomber, or Lewis Hamilton in Formula One, who people still try to downplay this man's achievements within this sport. Or Tiger Woods when it comes to golf. Let's just say what sports is a perfect example of if black people get an opportunity to do something, they do it so well, they become the leaders within said sports. There was a point in time where black brothers did not play basketball in America. Can you believe that? Really? That at some point in time, the suggestion of people who at the time would have been referred to as Negroes playing basketball alongside white people would have been a laughable conversation in the United States. Clearly, some people were not laughing at that, and behind the shadows and behind closed doors and in hushed voices have begun a project to reclaim that state whereby they can practice the same discrimination and segregation they have done historically. The problem with that, though, is that alongside Trump's policies that have stopped migrant workers from going into work and being an essential part of America's primary industries of agriculture and farming and food packing and food preparation, minorities, as they refer to in the United States, also contribute massively to making up America's essential services. But clearly, Americans have some kind of amnesia anywhere prior to the election of Barack Obama, because the emergence of a black president has created such an insidious sense of hatred and racist retribution in America that a plane can hit a helicopter and innocent people die. And the president's like, well, it was probably some black people. I know they weren't there, but they probably did something at some point if you look. And he's even had his press secretary tell the press, when a plane is landing, do you hope that you'll see your family and kids and get home safely, or do you think about the color of the pilot? And I think we all know the answer to the question. What she doesn't realize is that even though she thinks she's dog whistling, that people think about the latter. No, most people think about just getting on the ground safely. There is only a very particular group of people who do stuff like show up in hospital with a mortal emergency, and their first thought is, I don't want to be operated on by somebody who is not white. I don't want a non-white person treating my injuries. You would have to have significant amount of guilt to think that even in your most vulnerable time, somebody would take advantage and abuse you on the basis of your race. You must have people who are only capable of such malice would be afraid that such malice will be visited on them. And to be honest with you, I'm at a point now, as existentially and socially, where, like Rennie Edo Lodge, if that's how you think, I'm not even going to speak to you. Because to be quite honest, I feel like the physical embodiment of that mentality is coming to an end now on a global basis. Because no one's ever like, I hate this group of people, but I'm nice to my family and I love my children. That's not how racists talk. So, Donald Trump's administration basically is going on in earnest, and I have met many comedians who claim to be his supporters, despite the fact that they are from racial or ethnic groups which have been banned from America, referred to as shithole nations by their president, are typically ridiculed by MAGA supporters, have, for some reason, aligned themselves with Donald Trump. I think that the reason is mainly money. But I think that we'll see what happens. As you know, my position is that Donald Trump is the true face of America, that America tends to not show people. And now that mentality has been able to come together, largely helped by social media, and basically galvanize. And the precipitation of that whole thing is Donald Trump. So we'll see how that goes. But my thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and the families of this tragedy. And I hope that you are provided with the answers and at least enough of the tools to begin the process of grief and healing that you deserve as human beings. But no, positive things are that I am going to be doing some shows abroad again this month. I'm hoping to visit the Netherlands twice. And yeah, some very good shows coming up. I'm going to be working with some new promoters in terms of comedy. So you guys can see me. If you want to find out more, then please do look on my socials for some upcoming gig information. Or you can message me directly and I'll give it to you. Because I've got to be very mindful about who sees where I gig, because some people do not want that to happen. I feel like time will come and I'll elaborate on that, but please do stay hooked and share this. And once there is enough of an audience, I will break down the circumstances of my cancellation from the beginning, as represents a ideological battle I've been having with my detractors for over 2 years. And I feel like there has been a concerted effort to deplatform me. Which I'm sure you guys will want to hear about, whether you want to laugh about it or you actually identify with that struggle, then please do pay attention for more info. This has been a solemn episode in initial place, but I think that it's been fun because losing somebody so amazing has, in this instance, definitely made me concerned about the loss of loved ones and how that affects people, the other losses and tragedies that have occurred in the world. But the thing is that it's made me more appreciative of having my family back and more appreciative of my audience and the work I do and the opportunity to be around good people and do something I love. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for listening to this particular episode. We are going to call this one an episode for Darrell. I think it's only right. And I just again want to say, because it is definitely at the forefront of my mind, thank you for indulging me. But please do check yourselves. There's one in two people will develop or have some connection to cancer in their lifetime. It's important to get regular screenings. Hold your country to account, especially this bumper Labour government, in terms of maintaining research and development and support for cancer charities, research and development when it comes to oncology and cancer research, and to the maintenance of our National Health Service. I think I can't stress enough how important this is. But check yourselves out. Take care of each other and love each other. You never know when somebody will not be around. So love you, H.
Love you.
And love you guys, but only as friends. Thank you very much for listening to Citizen Dane. Please do check out the other episodes. Continue to like, share, and subscribe for more episodes and for more content. Peace.